The CBS News headline blared, "Burkina Faso spirals out of control under military rule." It aired at 8:03 p.m. Eastern Time. Within minutes, it was trending worldwide. The report was slick, professionally shot, but cold, dehumanizing. Footage of children running barefoot through dusty streets, men with rifles, ominous music. No mention of the terror groups being pushed back. No mention of the schools reopening. No mention of the villages finally sleeping at night. Captain Ibrahim Traoré watched it alone in his office in Ouagadougou. His eyes didn't blink, his jaw clenched. Burkina Faso had bled. For years. And now, when his people were beginning to stand again, this was the image shown to the world. Across the country, phones buzzed, mothers cried. A student in Bobo Dioulasso whispered, "Why do they hate us?" And then, a whisper in the presidential quarters, "He's going to America." They laughed at first. But Ibrahim Traoré wasn't joking. He booked a flight to New York that night. "You're not invited, Captain." 3 hours after landing at JFK, Traoré stood outside the CBS News building in Manhattan. No entourage, just 2 aides and a purpose no guard could stop. Security tried, but his voice was calm. "Get Wendy McMahon. I won't leave until I speak with her. Not off air. Live." The producer laughed nervously. "This isn't how it works, sir. You can't just walk into a broadcast headquarters and—" "I'm not here for broadcast," Traoré interrupted. "I'm here for Burkina Faso's dignity." Inside, executive staff argued. Some said, "Let him cool off." Others whispered, "This could be huge ratings." Then Wendy McMahon entered the room. Composed, cold. She had seen world leaders cry and crumble. "He wants to go on live?" she asked. "Yes." She nodded slowly. "Give him 10 minutes. He'll hang himself." The countdown began. A studio was cleared. Cameras rolled. The lights were blinding. And then, without a script, without a teleprompter, Captain Ibrahim Traoré stepped onto CBS Primetime Live. But what he said first froze the entire control room. "This is not about me." The red light turned on. Silence. Ibrahim Traoré's voice echoed through the studio. "This is not about me. It's about a mother in Djibo who buried her son because he wouldn't join the terrorists. It's about a teacher in Kaya who opened a classroom with no chalk, no roof, and still taught." His accent was thick, but his words pierced. The host, seated across from him, tried to interrupt, but Traoré looked directly into the camera. "You said my country is in chaos. You said we are broken. You showed only our wounds, never our healing." Back in Burkina Faso, people gathered around phones, radios, televisions, some in tears already. Traoré lifted a photo, a little girl holding a book with a torn cover. "You did not show her. She walks 3 kilometers to learn every day. That's the Burkina Faso I know. That's the Burkina Faso I fight for." In the control room, producers started shifting nervously. This wasn't the plan. He wasn't shouting. He wasn't emotional. He was devastatingly calm. Even Wendy McMahon, watching from behind the glass, whispered, "This is not going how I expected." The host finally found her voice. "But Mr. Traoré, we report what we see. Isn't it true your country is unstable?" He didn't flinch. "No, it's incomplete. You show the gun, but not the hand that's defending innocent people. You show the ashes, but never the fire we're putting out." He turned to the screen behind him. His aide played a video. A village school rebuilt from ruins. Children singing, women cooking together, a farmer hugging a soldier who helped him harvest after extremists fled. The studio grew still. Ibrahim pointed again at the host. "Why not show this? Why does your lens only focus when we are bleeding?" The host looked away. "I am not asking for praise," Traoré continued. "I am asking for truth." At home in Burkina Faso, an elderly widow in Dori clutched her chest and wept. "He speaks for us," she whispered. "He speaks for my son who never came back from the front." Back in the CBS control room, Wendy McMahon's fingers tapped nervously. This wasn't damage control anymore. It was turning into a moment no one could stop, and it was just getting started. Wendy McMahon walked into the studio, not as a CEO, but as a woman who now realized this wasn't just PR, this was personal. She asked the host to pause the segment. "Let me speak with him." She sat across from Captain Traoré, cameras still rolling, live. He greeted her respectfully. "Madam McMahon." She nodded. "Captain, what do you want from us?" Traoré paused. "I want you to look me in the eyes and tell me my people don't matter." Wendy didn't speak. He leaned in slowly. "Because every time your network calls us military rule or a failed state, without showing the mothers rebuilding or the children learning, that's what you're saying." The silence in the studio was deep. A junior producer behind the glass started crying quietly. Her father was a refugee from Rwanda. She felt every word. Wendy swallowed. "We didn't mean to hurt." "But you did," Traoré replied. "And you can help fix it." Suddenly, Wendy leaned toward the director and said something that stunned everyone. "Give him the segment. Let him speak, unedited." The director's hands shook. This had never happened before. The screen behind Ibrahim lit up. He had prepared everything. Footage from across Burkina Faso, none of it staged, all of it real. A nurse in a war-torn village delivering babies without light. A father burying his teenage son. Killed defending a local school. A boy learning under a mango tree because the school was bombed but his spirit wasn't. A woman, her arms missing, smiling as she learned to sew again. "I didn't come here to fight," Traoré said softly. "I came here because the people who can't speak English, the ones who don't even have radios, they still matter." Wendy McMahon covered her mouth. Backstage, a CBS anchor whispered, "He's rewriting the rules of media. With truth." Traoré's voice trembled for the first time. "We are not statistics. We are not your headlines. We are people, and we have suffered more than you can imagine." Tears fell silently from a cameraman's eyes. His son had once served in Afghanistan. He had seen suffering, but this felt different. "I just want the world to know," Traoré said, "that my people are standing, even when the world tries to silence us." As the cameras rolled, Traoré reached into his pocket and pulled out a small folded letter. He held it up without a word. Then he read it aloud. "Dear Captain, my name is Safiatou. I am 9 years old. When I saw what the TV said about our country, I cried. They said we are dangerous, but I am not dangerous. I just want to grow up and be a teacher like my mama. Please tell them we are not bad people. Please." The studio went silent. No cue cards, no noise. Only a trembling voice reading the last line. "I don't want the world to hate us." Traoré's hands shook slightly. The strong soldier, the defiant leader, fighting tears on live television. Wendy McMahon looked down, her face pale. "Where did you get that letter?" she asked softly. "It was left at the presidential gates, tied with string." No one spoke for a while. Then Wendy said the most unexpected thing. "Let's give her a voice too." She ordered the letter displayed on screen, word for word. And at that moment, the world didn't see a president. They saw a protector. And it broke people. Back in Burkina Faso, the broadcast was being streamed on a phone in a small village in Koudougou. A circle of school children sat on the ground, their faces lit by the glow of the screen. When they saw Safiatou's letter on air, they gasped. One girl cried out, "That's my friend!" Parents hugged their children. Soldiers paused their patrols. For the first time, The world was watching their truth, not from a reporter, but from their president himself. In New York, something strange began happening. CBS's live feed, which usually had a few thousand viewers, jumped to over 10 million. Twitter was exploding. Hashtags like Tackern Truth from Traoré and Africa Speaks Back began trending. Ibrahim turned to Wendy. "I didn't come here to shame you. I came here to wake you up." Wendy, shaken, responded, "I think the world just woke up with us." The cameraman zoomed in on Traoré's face. His eyes were glassy, but his voice was steel. "We have been hurt, lied about, and ignored, but today we speak for ourselves." Behind the glass, even the toughest CBS producers were wiping tears. This wasn't news anymore. This was history being rewritten. Wendy McMahon requested a break in the live feed, but the director refused. "People are watching this like it's oxygen. We're not stopping." So Wendy stayed seated. And in a quiet moment, she did something unexpected. She told a story of her own. "When I was 14, I watched American media misreport on Rwanda. I remember yelling at the screen. I told myself, one day, I'll be part of the truth. But now I see, maybe I became part of the same system." Traoré didn't gloat. He simply nodded. "We all get lost. What matters is, if we choose to return to the truth." Then, something miraculous happened. Wendy stood up and switched seats. "I'm not asking the questions anymore," she said. "You are." And for the first time in CBS News history, a foreign president took the anchor's chair, with Wendy beside him, not as a CEO but as a listener. Traoré turned to the camera and said, "Burkina Faso, I speak for you, and to every country ever shamed, ignored, or mislabeled. This is your voice too." Phones rang, streets erupted. Across Africa and beyond, people cried. The silent had finally spoken. The live feed cut to commercials for a moment, but Traoré remained seated, his posture firm, his eyes locked on Wendy. In the studio, Wendy's assistant walked over quietly and whispered something into her ear. Her expression changed. "Ibrahim," she said slowly, "I just learned that one of our producers intentionally cut out aid footage from your country to fit their narrative. I had no idea." The room froze. Without raising his voice, Traoré said, "Do you know what it costs us when you tell the world that we are only war and hunger? Our people lose opportunities. Our children are treated like criminals for being African." He looked down briefly. A flicker of pain crossed his face. "My own niece was denied a school visa last week, because of your report." The room went silent. Wendy covered her mouth. It was no longer about politics. This was personal, human. Behind the glass, one intern was crying. The sound technician had stopped adjusting his levels and just stared, transfixed. Then Wendy whispered, "I didn't know." Ibrahim looked at her. "Now you do. What will you do with the truth?" Outside the studio, something unimaginable was happening. People were gathering. Americans, Africans, journalists, students, mothers with children, holding signs, watching on their phones. Some even knelt on the sidewalk and prayed. Back inside, Wendy took off her earpiece. "No more producers in my ear, no more PR spin." She turned to Traoré. "I want you to tell the world what they don't know about your people." Ibrahim stood. He walked over to a map of Africa on the studio wall and gently pointed to Burkina Faso. "This small country, where we sleep under the stars, where our grandmothers tell stories by firelight, where we survive despite all odds, you reduced it to violence. But we are more. We are builders. We are dreamers. We are still standing." He paused. "Even after centuries of being taken, used, misrepresented, we are still here." Wendy, clearly moved, spoke softly. What can we do now? Traoré replied, You can start by listening, not just reporting. And for the next hour, the world watched a new kind of news segment. No script, no spin, just truth. Raw, beautiful, painful, and finally, healing. That night, something miraculous happened. CBS's official website published a new headline. We got it wrong. Here's the truth from Burkina Faso. The article featured Safiatu's letter, photos of farmers rebuilding schools, young girls coding in Ouagadougou, and a full transcript of Ibrahim's speech, unedited. Within minutes, major media outlets around the globe followed suit. BBC, Al Jazeera, France 24, even Fox News. But something even more powerful began to happen. Regular people started posting their apologies. A U.S. teacher wrote, To the children of Burkina Faso, I showed my class the wrong story. Tomorrow I'll show them this one. A Brazilian woman commented, I cried today, not because of war, but because of your strength, Ibrahim. Thank you. Even Wendy McMahon released a personal video. Today, I didn't lose my job. I found my purpose again. I will use this platform to uplift the silenced. Traoré didn't smile. He didn't celebrate. He simply said, Let our story be the start, not the end. In Burkina Faso, people stayed up all night. For once, the world wasn't speaking about them. It was listening to them. And millions wept. As CBS aired Ibrahim's unscripted, heartfelt conversation with Wendy, one clip went viral faster than any news story ever had. It wasn't a political quote or a powerful headline. It was a short video of Traoré pulling a folded piece of paper from his coat. Before I left Burkina Faso, a little girl gave me this, he said. He carefully unfolded it. The camera zoomed in. It was a child's drawing, a house, a sun, a smiling stick figure with curly hair, and a flag. Beneath it, in shaky French, it read, Tell them we are not dangerous. We are children too. The studio fell completely silent. Wendy McMahon teared up. Who is she? She asked softly. Her name is Aissata, Traoré replied. She's 7. And after she saw your report, she asked me if America hated her. Wendy's voice broke. I'm so sorry. No, Ibrahim said gently, folding the paper again. Say it to her. Say it to all the children watching this. That night, millions of viewers cried. Parents hugged their kids tighter, and a little girl in Burkina Faso finally smiled, because the world saw her. After the broadcast ended, the CBS studio phone wouldn't stop ringing. Not with complaints, but with confessions, apologies, and tears. A former war reporter called in, I quit my job years ago because I was forced to lie. Today, you helped me forgive myself. An elderly man from Mississippi left a voicemail. I've never left my town, but I wept for that girl. Thank you, Captain. The White House even released a short statement. We recognize the concerns raised by President Traoré. We will be reviewing our diplomatic and media relationships moving forward. But perhaps the most unexpected call came directly to Wendy McMahon's personal phone. Her father. I watched the entire thing, he said. I'm proud of you. For the first time in years. Wendy cried. And Traoré? He didn't celebrate. He called Aissata on video. You did this, he told her, smiling softly. You reminded the world what they forgot. Her answer was simple. Did they believe me? Ibrahim's eyes filled with tears. Yes, and they will never forget you. The news cycle had changed, but so had hearts, and it was just the beginning. Back in Ouagadougou, the streets were filled, not with protests, but with candlelight. People gathered in silence. Children held up hand-drawn signs. Thank you for seeing us. We are not just a headline. Burkina Faso is alive. For the first time in years, there was hope in the air. Even the national radio stations began replaying the CBS clip on loop. At the presidential compound, Traoré stood alone on the balcony, watching. An aide approached quietly. "Captain, do you see what you've done?" He didn't speak at first. Then he said, "I didn't do it alone. A little girl did it. A country did it. The truth did it." He looked at the lights glowing below like stars. "I was only the messenger." Wendy McMahon, now back in New York, released a final statement that would shake the world again. CBS News will be funding a journalism training center in Burkina Faso, run by local voices, and I personally invite President Traoré to return next month to help us teach the truth. The world leaned in. Would he return? Would the story continue? You'll find out in the final chapters.
1 month later, every major network in America was broadcasting one moment: Ibrahim Traoré's return to New York. He didn't come in silence. He came with purpose. This time, he was not alone. He brought teachers, farmers, a widow from Djibo, a doctor from Bobo Dioulasso. Even Aissata came, with her red dress and a teddy bear in hand. As the CBS auditorium filled, you could feel it. This wasn't just another panel discussion. This was history. Wendy McMahon walked on stage first. She looked different, softer maybe, or simply changed. "I've made many decisions in this job," she said. "Some I'm proud of, some I regret, but today I'm here to listen." When Traoré stepped out, the room stood. Every journalist, every intern, even those who once doubted him. He didn't bring charts, he brought stories. The truth is not just statistics. The truth is the people who live it. He paused, looked directly into the camera. "You think we are far from you, but we are closer than you know." The room held its breath, and then the transformation began. As the global press listened, Traoré reached under his jacket. He held up a flash drive. "Before I came here," he said calmly, "we intercepted footage, not from the battlefield but from a boardroom." The screen behind him lit up. CBS executives, American consultants, laughter, red circles drawn around Burkina Faso on a map. "It's unstable," one voice said. "That's what sells." "Push the narrative," another replied. "Who's going to question us?" Silence filled the room. Some journalists covered their mouths in shock. Others began to cry. This wasn't just bias. It was betrayal. Wendy McMahon stood frozen. Then she stepped forward. "I didn't know about this," she whispered. Traoré nodded gently. "But now you do. What will you do next?" The air was heavy. The world was watching. Then Wendy turned to the camera. "I'll make this right," she said, "starting now." She looked at her staff. "No more filtered stories, no more politics. We start again, with truth." It wasn't just a promise. It was the start of something bigger. And for the first time, the world didn't see Burkina Faso through a lens. They saw it through its people. Traoré closed the session with one final story. "There's a boy in my village. He has no shoes, but he runs to school every day barefoot under the hot sun." He looked into the audience. He doesn't run for fame. He runs because he believes his future is worth the pain. A picture of the boy appeared on screen. Dust-covered feet, torn shorts, but eyes full of hope. "That's Burkina Faso," Traoré said. "We are not perfect, but we are running forward every single day." The room exploded in applause, real, thunderous, tear-filled applause. Viewers across the world stood up in their living rooms. He didn't demand respect. He earned it. And as he stepped down from the stage, Aissata ran to him and hugged his leg. "Did we do good, Papa Ibrahim?" she whispered. He knelt down. "You changed the world." If this story touched you, if you felt that lump in your throat, if your heart beat faster as truth stood tall, please hit the like button.
Tell us in the comments, what part made you cry the most? And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss stories like this. Stories that defend truth, honor dignity, and remind us what being human truly means. Your voice matters. Your heart matters. Join this journey. Let's make the world feel again.